You're welcome back. This is Newsfile, it's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, as you know, we put Ghana first. We continue answering your questions. We will open the phone lines again. You have to wait until I announce that it has been opened. Then you can join us. Director of Electoral Services of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Srebo Kweku, has left us. We thank him so very much for the education that he has given. Our audiences are so appreciative of that. Now, still here in the studio, we have Dr. Abdul Basit Aziz Bamba, Senior Lecturer, School of Law, University of Ghana. Superintendent Mrs. Sheila Kessie Abeye Backman, Director of Public Affairs, Ghana Police Service. Mrs. Rhoda Osei Afo is Project Manager, Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. So, Sheila, if we can start with you. Swansea had asked a question about how to identify that this is the approved security officer.
Swansea should not worry. The presiding officer at the station would first meet the security officer even before the process starts. And the security officer will be known by all the other official players at the station. Which includes party representatives. Exactly. So Swansea should not worry. If any other police officer or security officer comes, they would know, and then they would cause his or her arrest. So Swansea should not worry. I'm sure Joy FM would display or publish pictures of the approved uniforms for election day in particular for all the security services. Our uniforms include name tags. Without name tags, you're not wearing a uniform. Like I am here, my name tag is there. But you as a voter in the queue, you are not going to leave the queue to go and look at the name tag on the chest of the security officer. But the assurance is that because the presiding officer knows the security personnel assigned to the station and can tell imposters from the true ones, that would help us to arrest anybody who is not assigned for duty at the station.
Thank you very much. And so when I open the phone lines, now target more of your questions to the issues of security. There was Farouk who was asking that there should be sufficient security or increased security at Tema East. I suppose you may understand why he's saying so, but let me now bring Dr. Bassett in on this question. Yesterday, we are going to show you shortly what happened yesterday. The Electoral Commission chairperson gave us some information on how far they have come and how ready they are. We had the police represented by Dr. Dampare also telling us how ready the police is. Then we had President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo pledging to a peaceful process, and then John Mahama also pledging to a very peaceful process. So let's first listen to them and then come ask the question, the one single question. How binding is this on the candidates and on their followers?
See all security personnel behave professionally, all those deployed for elections to be in uniform with visible name tags and service numbers. Let us strive to prevent the violence of the past, particularly as witnessed in early 2019 during the Awasu West Wogon by-elections, which till date has gone unsanctioned. The United States of America has set an example for us, where institutions of democracy have upheld the Constitution despite severe verbal and legal assaults by losing incumbents. Will our institutions perform the same in the face of a similar situation? Recent events under the current administration have given many anxious moments of doubt about this administration's ability to deliver a peaceful, violence-free election. The events of Ayawaso West Wogon are fresh in our minds. this administration's refusal to sanction persons involved in assaulting an honorable member of parliament and injuring scores of people remain one of the darkest days in our democratic history. But ladies and gentlemen, we are optimistic. In the face of similar doubts in the past, Ghanaians have risen to the occasion and delivered a peaceful, successful election. My name is John Dramani Mahama, and I stand for peace. Let there be peace in Ghana.
Both previous occasions, I've held to my part of the Peace Pact. And on this third occasion, as President of the Republic, I will do the same. I stand here as the representative of the New Patriotic Party, a political party founded on the strong belief that Ghana is best governed under a constitutional arrangement that guarantees multi-parties. We come from a long tradition that believes in disputes being settled by superior arguments and not by violence. It has been a long and tortuous journey that has brought this nation finally to this fourth republic. I would like to call upon the security agencies to be up and doing their work and making sure that the atmosphere in our country is one conducive to the conduct of a fair and transparent process.
Right. So, as you heard, the president says that we in the NPP want a credible election conducted in a peaceful, tranquil atmosphere. And he says we have a track record that will make Ghanaians vote to renew our mandate, just as in 2016, we want this victory to be sweet and incontestable. Then he said that he is pledging himself and his party to peace. He said, I pledge that the peace, unity, and safety of Ghana will be our primary consideration. He said he was representing the NPP. Then John Mahama, also among others, said elections are about counting heads and not cutting heads. That caught my attention a lot. Counting heads and not cutting heads. And he said he stands for peace. And guess what? They signed onto the Peace Pact. The Peace Pact, among others, this is what they said, that we hereby commit ourselves and our supporters, note that, ourselves and our supporters, to peaceful elections in December, that we undertake to accept the results, that we undertake to restrain our supporters from resorting to violence after the elections. We are committed to judicial resolution of election disputes. So if problems come, they are committed to using the law rather than something else. We are committed to taking all necessary appropriate measures to deepen our democracy and to preserve Ghana's well-deserved reputation as a haven for peace, stability, and constitutionalism on the African continent. And finally, we are committed to working together to undertake constitutional reforms in order to eradicate the root causes of vigilante violence in Ghana. This is good, is it not?
Extremely good and significant. No, I think that, we need to commend the presidential candidate of the two political parties, the NPP and the NDC, for taking this bold step to affirm their commitment.
This will be the third time.
It's actually the third time, to affirming their commitment to peaceful elections and also the judicial resolution of electoral disputes. And this is important given the backdrop of what happened in the also West Wuogon constituency, the violence that we all wish that is never repeated. But I think it's important to note that what is contained in this pact is essentially a reaffirmation of what is already provided for in the law.
Right.
Under our various laws, whether it is Criminal Offences Act and also PNDC Law 284, which has to do with the Representation of the People Act, certain acts have been prohibited, during and after elections. And we may even add the Vigilantes and Related Offences Act. So what these presidential candidates of the NPP and the NDC have committed to doing is that they are going to, they and their supporters are going to comply with the requirements of the law to ensure peaceful
The vigilante
elections.
activities. And remember, I said this is the third time they are subscribing to this. That didn't stop the vigilante activities after elections,
The only difference,
including storming a courtroom. Yeah.
The only difference now is that after the events of Ayawaso West Wuogon, we now have a law. The law has disbanded all vigilante groups.
Really?
Well, at least that's what the text of the law says.
That's
The law
right.
has disbanded, and sometimes something. It is better you have a prohibition of disbanded groups than not have anything at all.
Okay.
So that if, for all you know, in fact or in reality, some of these groups exist, we then can then use the law to deal with them.
Right.
And yes, exactly. So I think that this is a good thing. It's also a good thing because it's because of its signaling effect. It sends a signal to the party, the supporters of the two main parties.
So this was done under the auspices of the National Peace Council, the National House of Chiefs, and the technical body for it was the IDEC, Institute of Democratic Governance. And you have such eminent people signing. After Nana Addo Dankwa signed, John Mahama signed, the Chief Justice, Justice Eni witnessed. You had His Eminence Sheikh Osman Nuhu Sharabutu, National Chief Imam. You had Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, Chairman of the Peace Council. You had Ojia Hohwo Yao JB, the second President of the National House of Chiefs, and Dr. Emmanuel Akwete signing. How binding is it?
Well, in terms of it binding, when you look at the text of the pact, it is largely political in nature, basically a political commitment to ensuring a peaceful election and using the judicial means to resolve election disputes. So I think this pact should be read together in light of the general laws of Ghana in relation to not engaging in certain prohibited activities. So on its own, you cannot take any of the candidates to court for violating any provision of the pact, but the provisions essentially reflect other general laws which can be enforced in court. So in that sense, any acts of political violence, either by the candidates, instigated by the candidates, their supporters or their parties, could be punished under the law.
But really, everything should not be about law, right? It should be about integrity, morality, good conscience. So once they have signed this, they should also be ready to be held to what they have done, that they are committing their supporters to not misbehave.
So I mean, in governance matter, it's not only about the law, though. It's only about the politics of it. It's also about the social significance of it. And for me, I see this document largely in political, social, and psychological terms. Because when you have the candidates of the two main political parties essentially saying we are committing ourselves to peace and our supporters, that signals to their supporters and everybody that their commitment to peace is real, is genuine. We must all fight to ensure that we have genuine and peaceful elections.
Yeah, we have to believe them, have no other option than to believe them and to pray and hope that they will keep to it, except that precedents will show that the part that they commit their members does not exactly work. And we have had situations where vigilante activity has gone on after elections, and you actually have a party chairman, justify that is an exercise of an Article 40, 41, kind of right F where people are protecting and preserving public property when they actually have been acting, you know, as hooligans. Now, Rhoda, for CODEO, all you seek is to help engender further, better credibility to the process. How much is this to you as CODEO?
Well, I think the symbolism of what took place yesterday is quite significant, in that we know that these two leaders command significant, they have a lot of influence over large sections of the population. It was significant to also know that yesterday the former president still tried to highlight certain things that he felt not so happy about, made references to the Ayawaso West Wagon issue. The point is that, yes, there are certain issues that we have our differences, we may not agree with, but at the same time, we can have a more noble way of carrying out our grievances, of airing our disappointment. And I think this is what the current president also did when he was in opposition at the time that he was reacting to the verdict of the Supreme Court after the 2012 presidential election petition, which again, the point was that he had his own disagreements or difficulties, but at the same time agreed to go with the decision or the verdict of the court. And these are some of the things that we expect our political players to be doing, that we will not be able to agree all the time on certain things, but we can have more noble ways of carrying our grievances without resorting to or influencing our followers to resort to violence. Now, the issue is whether this is sufficient. What happened yesterday is sufficient. I think far more than that, we need all other actors, all other players to also be responsible, also play their role, because what happened yesterday will be effective to the extent that all other players, actors, play their role. So if you are the Electoral Commission, the EMB, it is important that you discharge your duties creditably so that at all points in time, there's sufficient trust in the processes. People will not have any opportunities to exploit or to resort to violence. So we are not going to leave this to just the the two leading presidential candidates, but all other stakeholders must play their roles. The security agencies, it's important that they apply the laws or they enforce the laws firmly and fairly at all times, because if you are not doing that, then you are going to make it difficult for peace to happen. The political parties and their structures. So we have two leaders who have spoken or have committed to peace yesterday, but there are numerous communicators who are going to be engaging the process between now and Monday, between now and the time that the results will be declared. Who is communicating what? What are the protocols for the parties to check? Put their communicators in line to ensure that at all times, whatever we are doing, we are still maintaining we are still working to address the national interest or to achieve the national interest. So we are not just going to leave it to what happened yesterday, but in terms of making sure that all other stakeholders in the chain within the spectrum also play their part. The media, they are going to be very critical, how they also carry their reportage or conduct themselves in this process, all are going to affect the process and the peaceful outcome that we are desiring.
Right. And, you know, Rhoda is spot on about after this, what should happen, and the party communication lines, these two parties. While this exercise was going on yesterday, the two main parties were having press conferences where they were trading such vile stuff. But, well, it's better than not having one. Dr. Kufu-Dampare, who spoke for the police, said this is important to the police because, number one, these leaders have such massive following and their followers listen to them, and that helps the police's work. How is that?
You know, we are in the communities. We have engaged different levels of people. So at the headquarters, we engage the leadership of the parties. But in the communities, the feedback we get as part of our community policing shows that they listen to their candidates. They look at what their leadership do, and then they follow suit. And that is why this is important for the police, that the people on the ground would see that the candidates for whom they would do anything, are saying what we want is peace and that we are committed to it. So why would you, the man or the woman on the ground, decide to take up arms or to fight another or to trade insults, do anything to interfere with the process which would make the person come to power? That is why it's very important for the police.
Right. So like Dan Paris said, it's a collective responsibility. And some of our listeners and viewers just send messages talking about collective responsibility in protection of each other over COVID and the rest of them. So innovating and using a cloth if you can't afford a mask. They commit to using judicial processes. That's where I bring you in. In the judicial processes, we know that where it is very heated is where there is an presidential election dispute. You have the benefits of representing the NDC when there was the election petition in 2012, and we spent 8 long months. People were sitting in tenterhooks, and like everything almost came to a standstill. The Chief Justice mentioned this yesterday, that they are taking steps to ensure that they do their work and do it well. And you, the Ghana Bar Association, used you to teach all the lawyers in Accra how we have to learn about these laws and use them. In summary, how is the new approach better in the peace building process to the previous approach?
Thank you so much, Samson. I'll try to be very, very brief.
Yeah.
Fortunately for us, there have been certain changes to the law in terms of, in particular, how presidential election petitions should be conducted. And those changes are for the better. In 2016, the Rules of Court Committee, this is a committee that comes out with rules for the High Court, Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court, and the other lower courts on the procedures in the courts. Now, in 2016, the Rules of Court Committee was able to get Parliament to enact CI 99. Now, CI 99 seeks to ensure an accelerated and expedited hearing of presidential election petitions. So the 18 months long torturous journey that we had in 8 months long torturous journey we had in 2012 and 2013 before the presidential election petition was resolved, we are not going to have that. Under the new rules, something it will interest you to note that once a petition is filed, right from the time of appearance and service, the court has 42 days to come out with a decision. And I'll take you through the process. Now, under our constitution, a presidential election petition is supposed
So let's be clear. At the place where this was launched, I heard the justices say they are proposing, they are suggesting, but in fact, there has been rules made after the 2012 election.
Absolutely.
That has changed the old rules.
That is
so it's no more a suggestion.
It's no more a proposal. It is no more a suggestion. It's rather a law which is binding on the courts and on everybody.
All right.
And this is a law passed in 2016 and it's CI 99.
Okay.
So under this law and the Constitution, when there is a presidential election petition, the petition is to be filed within 21 days of the declaration of the person who has been elected president. Once that is done...
In Kenya, they do that within 7 days.
Unfortunately, we are doing it within 21 days because of a constitutional provision. Unless the constitution has been changed, there's very little that...
So that one, they can't do anything
They can't do anything about it unless there's a constitutional amendment. And in the pact, the leaders of the major political parties committed themselves to constitutional reform. So I guess when we come to constitutional reform, this may be one of the areas that we may look at.
Now proceed.
Yeah. So within 21 days, election petition could be filed. Not after 21 days. Election petition filed outside the 21 days is incompetent. The court will not look into that. Then the petition will be served on the respondent. And here, there's also been a change. The respondents will only be the Electoral Commission and the person who has been declared president. So not like what happened in 2013 when the NDC joined as one of the respondents. Only 2 respondents, the Electoral Commission, the person who has been elected president. Then, within 7 days of the filing and the service, the respondents are to file an appearance and an answer, their response to the petition, the allegations in the petition.
By the previous law, this was 15 days.
But by the previous law, it was 3 days to enter appearance, and then 7 days from appearance to enter an answer. In other words, it was basically 10 days from appearance for you to file an answer. But now this has changed. So within 7 days, you must enter appearance and also file an answer. Then on the 10th day, the court is going to meet, look at everything, and give directions for trial. Then on the 15th day, the court is going to have a hearing. Okay. So the hearing will start on the 15th day. Then on the 21st day, hearing will end. Will be completed on the 21st day.
The previous position, the hearing, there was no timeline.
There was no timeline.
It only said they would do it expeditiously.
Expeditiously, so it was left.
Expeditiously had meant 8 months.
It basically meant...
Okay.
Exactly. So the hearing will be from the 15th day to the 21st day. Basically 6 days. Then on the 42nd day, there's going to be judgment. So
previously they had 15 days to give their judgment.
Exactly. But now they have essentially 21 days. This will enable them to give very detailed treatment to the arguments that are made. So it looks like under the new arrangement, if an election petition is filed in January, by March we should expect the complete resolution or determination of the matter. But of course, there will also be reviews, and the time for review is a month after judgment. But I'm sure latest by April, we should be able to have finished with all presidential election districts.
So that the country is not, as it said, quote unquote, held to ransom for 8 months. And on the day of the judgment, I remember how things happened. It looks like they still couldn't agree, even when they met in the chambers. So you go to the court in the morning, and they seem to be haggling, and they don't come out until it's almost evening. All right, so phone lines open now. Let's have your last leg of questions, more directed on the security aspect. But of course, you can still pitch 30 seconds. You pitch, and then you give your reason for why you are voting the way you'll vote. But if you would, let's have questions on security so that Sheila will help us address them. Your messages are welcome. The phone line is 03022116991 or 03022116992. Isa from Boli. Hello, Isa, good morning. Let's hear you. Hello, Isa.
Good morning, Samson.
Go ahead, Isa, let's hear you.
I want to greet Dr. Bashir Bamba. I think we remember him during 2012. Hello?
Hello, Isa. Reduce the volume on your radio set and listen to us directly. Ask your question directly, okay?
I think we, the citizens, we are worried about the Ghana security. I think because of Ayawaso West war gone, we've lost trust in Ghana security. I think they should, they should motivate us to have confidence in them. If not, we've lost confidence in Ghana security.
Thank you, Isa, for your message. The next person is it Isau or Isau? You're calling from the northern region. Okay, we just lost you there. Please call back. The line is 03022116991 or 22116992. David, let's hear you. Hello, David. David, let's hear you. And for those of you watching, you can see the approved security outfits. Yes, let's hear you, David.
Yes. Yeah, I'm David from Kumasi. Yes.
David, go ahead.
Okay, mine is the pitch. I'm pitching for
Okay, so you see, I gave you an advice earlier. If you can, you are doing a 30-minute pitch, a 30-second pitch, or asking a question within 30 seconds. Why don't you write it down? When you call, you just read it out. All right, so the security services, these are the uniforms, the various uniforms that you should look out for those of you who are concerned and want to know the exact approved uniforms. For those of you watching, you can see the outfits on your screens. Okay, so Seth, you are calling from Kumasi. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question is the security services. Their professionalism sometimes come into question, because sometimes when they are on duty and they are doing certain things in terms of prices, how they manage it sometimes is very, 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 very bad. So I think they should improve on that so that this election can be very peaceful.
Okay, they should improve on managing crisis. Akum, you are calling from the USA. Let's hear you quickly. Hello, Akum.
Hello, I'm here.
Yes, go ahead.
I am saying that, you see, we are telling people to wear masks to the polling station. That is great. However, criminals can also decide to wear a mask that covers all of their faces. And that should be something we should be serious about.
Okay.
I'm trying to say that because we are talking of nose masks, we are talking of masks. And because many people may not have the mask, they may use cloths to cover their faces. But I am saying that criminals can also decide to deceive, like the mask they are wearing because of the corona.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you, Billy from Navrongo. Let's hear you.
So, in fact, it's a problem. This time, vigilante matters. So.
Okay, so that's where we end the calls. I have picked as many as. Okay, the last one. Hello, Atubuga. Hello, Atubuga.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, go ahead. Let's hear you.
Yeah, please. I think security service need to up the agenda. They need to let us have confidence in them in the upcoming election, because that is only when we will trust them again. Because the Iowa West Wugon team has made us to lose a lot of.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Now let's come back to the studio, and Rhoda on Zoom. Now, Sheila.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, Samson. So I start with Issa, who asked the first question.
Yeah. So
Issa and
Atubuga have the same issues.
They're talking about trust in the security services because of Ayawaso. It's unfortunate. Ayawaso is just one constituency out of 275 constituencies. But what happened has given an impression as though security services are not up to task. We are. The Commission of Inquiry on Ayawaso incident made it clear that the SWAT team that came there that day were not deployed by the Ghana Police Service. We are assuring you that this election, it is the Ghana Police Service, it is the Ghana Immigration Service, it is the Ghana Fire Service, it is the Ghana Prison Service, and the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority that are going to give protection. Any other institution not mentioned will not be at any polling station. If anybody comes, we are ready to arrest. And we know that the good people of Ghana will be happy about that. The BNI will be supporting. But BNI, they do covert operations. They will be in something like you are wearing. The person could even be the KIA who is passing by or the man selling coffee broke man, or that man in suits, that day would even be a holiday. So you shouldn't have any problems. Trust in the security services, at least for this election. You have already seen what we are doing with the preparation, the period before. On election day, we have outdoored the various uniforms that will be used. All security officers are supposed to meet their presiding officers before the day. The presiding officers will be able to tell who has the authority to be at the polling station. In fact and indeed, there are also 3 tiers of deployment who will be there to arrest. There will be patrols that will be conducted by officers of the operational units of the police service and officers of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Okay.
They will also be there to respond rapidly.
Seth was talking about managing crisis, that they have problems with that.
Yes, so Seth's issue is what I am addressing.
It's part of it, okay.
So the 3 tiers that will join the officers at the polling station will be there to respond rapidly. The patrol will be so robust such that it may not even have to take the public to inform police to come in to arrest.
All right.
Besides, we have also given out numbers, and I'm sure on Newsfile they would show the numbers the same way they are showing the uniforms.
Okay.
Local police will also give out numbers to contact should you need to contact police to respond to emergencies.
Right. Rhoda, what do you have to say about the concerns raised by our callers about trust, about professional conduct in managing crisis, and so on?
Yeah, these are issues that we have to be working all the time to address, even apart from the specific instances that were mentioned. I think in the recent registration exercise as well, a few issues came up about the conduct of certain personnel. We, first of all, have to understand that the role of the security agencies, as far as this process is concerned, essentially is to ensure that there's peace at the various polling stations that voting is taking place. And to that extent, they also have to understand how they are interpreting their mandate. So we know that they are not supposed to be interfering with the actual processes of voting. And at any point in time, if anything at all, they have to resort to the presiding officers.
Okay.
So we believe that if they are also abiding by the provisions that are in the CI, the provisions that are guiding their engagement in this process, to a greater extent, it will help. For voters, we expect that if at any point in time anyone has any particular issue, you are not sure about the presence of somebody, I think it would be good for them to pass that information to either the presiding officer in the case of a polling station or the police. I think officer can confirm. I think they publish some hotlines that the public can call. It would be good for them to keep publicizing those hotlines so that if people are suspicious of any group of persons at all, at any point in time, they can channel their grievance or whatever issues they have to the right processes so that we are also not putting other people's lives in danger just on mere suspicion. So it's important that they also publicize these numbers.
All right. Dr. Bassett, we have encountered police officers who are so nice, extra nice. And last night I encountered, police officers like that. Extremely nice, but we know that they are in situations where a very small issue, they may rather be the ones to get it worse, and that's the concern of the people.
No, I think there are legitimate concerns in terms of the performance and conduct of some of our security and police officers. So I think it needs to be said that, generally speaking, our police officers are among the best in Africa. They're actually among the best in the world. If you look at their performance in terms of international missions, UN missions and all that, the reports are there to see. It appears a problem that we have had, and this is an issue that has come up, has to do with sometimes political interference in the work of the police. But luckily for us, and sorry, I keep going back to the law. In a democracy, you cannot do without law. And there are very strict and rigorous laws about how the police should conduct themselves. In fact, in the past, I was involved in police inquiry, investigatory process against police officers. If only citizens would be bold enough to get the requisite information and evidence and know where to lodge an appropriate, to lodge complaints. I don't have any doubt at all in my mind that any erring police officer could be dealt with. So let's keep having confidence in our police officers. There are very, very good ones among them. Like in every other institution, there are also others who appear to be more politicians than peace officers and public officers. The bad ones, let's find ways of dealing with them if they transgress the law. And the way we do it is to try to get as much information about their conduct and lodging a complaint at appropriate quarters.
So, like the police continue to say, we have a role to play. We have a role to play. I would like us to listen to Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambers on the question of election security, and then also for the media, as we listen to him, let's listen to also GJ President Alfred Money on how we should also conduct ourselves.
On the issue of deployment of security forces for elections, we know that we need a secure environment for elections to take place. So that means first and foremost ensuring that the operatives, the staff and others who are associated with the Electoral Commission must be given adequate security to deploy across the country with the material that will be required so that there will be no effort at snatching or trying to destroy materials before, during, and after elections. So no one can underplay the importance of security. Second level is ensuring that there's adequate security to enable Ghanaians on that day to feel safe, to come out of their homes in numbers, to be able to go and exercise their franchise in a truly free and unhindered manner. And I think these should be the key principles guiding any deployment.
Hate speech. And sometimes we love fiery soundbites. And some of our presenters and broadcasters who are getting notoriety for promoting hate speech will rather be calling for more fire. Language shapes behavior, and hostile communication can trigger violence.
Right.
It's not immune from side danger if the media decide to side with such politicians who have renounced the use of reason and who have no love for country to push us on the brink of self-destruction. For our part, we have organized a cluster of training programs to sensitize the media to be mindful of the enormousness of the task ahead.
Right. So we take a minute of wrap-up comment from our guest, and then I'll bring you a rallying call to all of us to do our duty on Monday without let or hindrance, counting heads and not cutting heads. Yes, Rhoda, you have your first 1 minute. What will be your final comment and advice to everybody as we go out to vote on Monday?
Yes, it's been a long process for the political parties in particular. They've been working hard to improve on their chances. Now we are all going to the polls on Monday. We expect that everyone will conduct themselves in a responsible manner. It's important that we all work to achieve our objectives, our political party objectives or interests. But at the same time, we shouldn't lose sight of the national interest, the bigger picture. We have to be mindful that there must be a country to govern if we are going to be successful at the polls. And then for us as voters, I mean, there's every reason why we have to make sure that we are acting right. We should know our responsibilities towards this process. And we hope that today's program has helped throw some light on our responsibilities, and we should be able to play this quite effectively. And to our security agencies, it's important, once again, that they enforce the laws firmly and fairly so that we will all get the desired peace that we are seeking.
Thank you.
And I wish the country the very best.
Thank you. Dr. Bassett.
For Ghanaians to believe that we are going to have free, fair elections, and let's go out to ensure that we have free and fair elections. That is our collective responsibility and duty. Right.
That's so crisp. The election regulation says an election officer who is required to perform a function under these regulations but fail to perform that function commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine not more than 500 penalty units, that's like 6,000 Ghana cedis, or to a term of imprisonment of not more than 2 years or to both. And after that, the person will be disqualified from being engaged as an election officer for
period,
not for a period, but for also disqualified that for the for 5 years. Okay, for 5 years. So you should note that you too, as an election officer, the way the voters can be punished and everybody else can be punished, you too, for not doing your job well, you can also be punished by the law. Yes, Sheila, what will be your final words?
So police and security services will ensure security of the country and security of the elections. We have anticipated all manner of situations and we are prepared to deal with them. We are here for you, the law-abiding citizens, but for troublemakers, they should think twice because they will be arrested and then to face the law. So there are several situations. We are dealing with Western Togoland, it's under control, and we assure you that it will not interfere with the elections. We know that on election day, people may want to foment trouble. If your intention is to use delivery vans to carry arms or anything, please stop it because we have gathered the intelligence to deal with you. Those who may want to attack installations and market centers and even public places, we are prepared for you. So, and then fake news. You spoke about misinformation, hate speech, fake pictures and fake videos in circulation. Please cross-check information before you send. This is not only for the media practitioners, but for you and I, for the ordinary citizen who can do social media on your phone. Before you publish, be sure that you're doing the right thing. We have given contact numbers. Ghana will be peaceful. On election day, you step out in your mask, go to the polling station. After voting, leave the polling station. Ghana will be peaceful.
Thank you very much. All the numbers that we are referring to, security numbers, are on the screens, and you can look at them and use them at the appropriate times. And the media must also be extremely responsible. It's on that note that I commend Adom TV for what they have done, which both political parties are blaming them. You have done a responsible work. Keep it that way. My guests have been Dr. Srebo Kweku of the Electoral Commission, who left us earlier, Rhoda Oseyafo, is Project Manager Dukodeo. Sheila Kessi Abeye Bakman is the Director of Public Affairs of Ghana Police Service, and Dr. Abdul Basit Aziz Bamba is Senior Lecturer at the Ghana School of Law. I'm Samson Ladi Anyanini. I thank you all so very much, and more particularly, I'm excited today because I had 2 female guests. I hope to see more in 2021. Now, I leave you with this note. Think about Ghana.